Welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly pumped to have you here today. We are jumping right into a really fascinating interview sourced from the Remax Success channel. And it's a story that perfectly captures what happens when you take a highly technical brain and drop it right into the middle of the great outdoors. Today, we're unpacking the journey of Wayne Lewis. He's known around town as the Central Coast Landman. But here's the kicker. His path to selling these massive, absolutely stunning California ranches didn't start in a typical real estate office, not even close. Instead, he brings this deeply analytical engineering mindset to the wide-open, sweeping landscapes of the Central Coast.
So you gotta ask yourself, what actually happens when an aerospace professional takes over the countryside? It's kind of a wild concept, right? Normally, when you think of aerospace, you're picturing sterile labs, folks staring at endless lines of complex code, or engineers building massive jet components in rainy industrialized cities. You definitely do not picture them out in a dusty field in boots, calculating usable acreage or evaluating soil quality. But that massive contrast, between his highly technical past and his wide-open rural present, that is exactly what makes his whole approach to real estate so incredibly effective.
And just to give you a sense of how well this unique approach is working, let's look at the timeline here. 21 years. That is a massive amount of time. Wayne Lewis has been successfully navigating the real estate business right there on the Central Coast for over 2 decades, working with just a handful of brokerages that entire time. That kind of longevity in one specific geographic area, it means he isn't just selling dirt. He truly understands the historical pulse of the region, the seasonal shifts, and the real long-term value of the acreage he's representing.
Now you might be wondering, how does a guy even make that kind of transition? Well, Wayne originally moved down from the often gloomy, overcast skies of Seattle, Washington. He was basically looking to get back into the sunshine of the area where he actually grew up. But there was a bit of a catch. His whole background was heavily rooted in the software and aerospace industries. And while, sure, there was a little bit of that industry down in San Luis Obispo, the Central Coast as a whole wasn't exactly overflowing with aerospace engineering gigs. Simply put, the guy needed a job, and he literally always wanted to try his hand at real estate. So he saw an opening, took a total leap of faith, and completely pivoted his entire career focus.
And what's super fascinating to me is how that technical background didn't just fade away into the background. It actually became his absolute superpower. Today, Wayne is widely considered the resident landman. And why is that? Well, it's because he takes that incredibly detail-oriented, engineer-type mindset and applies it directly to selling ranches. Think about it. When you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of acres, clients need complex computations. It's like a giant puzzle. They need to understand the topography, the actual usable acreage, complex water rights, and really precise boundary lines. Wayne's brain just naturally gravitates toward these exact complexities, giving his clients a level of analytical precision that, honestly, you just don't find in standard residential real estate.
And naturally, that kind of specialized success truly builds on itself. When Wayne first started out, it's not like he just walked in and immediately dominated the entire ranch market. No way. He started small, just selling a few initial ranch properties. But in the real estate game, especially when we're talking about highly specialized stuff like agricultural land and ranches, your reputation is literally everything. Because he was so precise, so adept with those first few properties, his reputation just snowballed. He kept at it, got even sharper, and the business just organically built right up upon itself.
Okay, so here is the absolute game changer in how he markets these sprawling properties today. Wayne essentially took his personal hobbies and mashed them up with his professional needs to create this distinct, high-quality advantage. He already had a deep passion for flying drone aircraft and a real skill for photography. So instead of hiring a typical photographer, the kind who charges by the hour and is rushing to get to their next gig, Wayne spends virtually unlimited time out on the site. He fires up his drone to capture the true, massive scale of these ranches from the air. He actually waits for the perfect lighting, finds the perfect angles, and it's all driven by that engineering patience and his fantastic photographic eye.
And the best part is, that patience, it isn't forced at all. It comes from a really genuine place. As Wayne says himself, it's such a pleasure and a joy to be working here outside. You can just feel the authenticity there. A huge part of what drew him to ranches and land in the first place is simply getting to be out in the stunning Central Coast countryside. So, his dedication to capturing these properties perfectly on camera, it's not just some slick marketing tactic. It's a direct reflection of his own personal joy in experiencing that landscape.
Now, to really grasp the scope of his work, we've got to map out his geographic footprint, because it is incredibly vast. While he jokes that he doesn't quite go as far out as Fresno or Bakersfield, the area he does cover is still massive. We're talking a northern boundary that pushes way up into the beautiful terrain of southern Monterey County and a southern reach stretching all the way down into East Santa Maria. That is a huge expanse of diverse California territory, and navigating that requires a really intricate understanding of all the different microclimates, local regulations, and the shifting regional market values across all those miles. Speaking of market values, any good explainer of real estate has to dig into the numbers and current market dynamics. Right now, we're actually looking at two distinct stories playing out. On one hand, the recent trends show that properties are taking a bit longer to sell. And logically, as Wayne points out, when a property sits on the market longer, that often translates into a slightly lower sale price. But we have to zoom out here to get the full picture. Because when you look at the 10-year historical trends, land and rent sales in this specific region have been overwhelmingly strong. So even though we might be seeing some short-term slowdowns, the long-term value of Central Coast land, it remains incredibly robust.
And here is where things get really fascinating. The demographic shift happening right now. You might assume it's just locals buying up all this ranch land, but Wayne is seeing a totally different pattern. The major influx is actually coming from city dwellers flocking out of massive urban centers. We've got folks coming up from the south, out of the greater Los Angeles area, and folks coming down from the north, escaping the greater San Francisco area. It's this massive migration of individuals who are just looking to get out of the dense, high-pressure, concrete environments of California's biggest cities.
So what exactly are these urban buyers searching for when they finally arrive? Well, their rural wish list really taps into the aspirational core of why people want to buy land in the first place. And surprisingly, they aren't usually looking to become massive commercial farmers. Mostly, they just want a little bit of land to spread out. They want some breathing room, real space away from their neighbors. They want enough room to finally have some animals roaming around, and maybe just a small garden to grow a few of their own vegetables. It's really just a return to simplicity, but it's being facilitated by an agent using highly advanced drone technology to help them pinpoint it.
Which brings us to a really profound observation from Wayne. He notes, "That dream, I think, has always been part of American culture, and it will remain for a long time." Let's just pause and think about that for a second. Because despite all of our crazy technological advancements, and despite the massive, rapid growth of our urban centers, there's this enduring, deeply rooted desire to just own a peaceful slice of nature. It's a fundamental piece of the cultural fabric, and it's exactly what continues to drive the value and the immense appeal of the ranches Wayne sells.
And that leads us to our final thought for this explainer. I want to pass the question over to you. If you left the city behind tomorrow, what would your rural dream look like? Are we talking huge acreage for horses, maybe planting your own vineyard, or just a quiet, simple garden miles away from the nearest traffic jam? Wayne Lewis took his highly technical expertise and channeled it into helping people find that exact dream. It's a pretty fantastic reminder that sometimes the most complex skills are best used to help us find something beautifully simple. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope this leaves you inspired to go out and envision your own perfect, wide-open space.